going on? It's Jay, and in today's video what I'm going to show you is how to convert the Polygon T6E to a tubeless setup. Here's the tube, throw that to the side. Now what that means is I'm going to take the inner tubes out of the tires, and they're still going to hold air by converting it to tubeless, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do that in the hole in this video. And like I said, this is for like beginners, so people that have never done this before. There's a couple of like nuances when you're doing stuff like this that I really try to cover for those new to this type of stuff. Like where to put your fingers, things to look out for, tools that make this much easier. So when you buy tires new like this, they have all these bends in it and stuff like that. And when you turn this, like when you open this up and cut the zip tie, the bead itself, like the edge of the bead has like, almost like kinks in it. But just so you know, when doing a brand new tire like that, it is significantly harder than converting the tires that are already on the T6E. Like in this case, all I really have to do is pull the tubes out, put a valve stem in, throw some slime in there, and then put one side of the tire back on. So it's relatively simple when you're doing a conversion like this. But like I said, if you're going with brand new tires altogether, it is a little bit harder because you have to take the tire completely off the rim and put the tire completely on the rim, so you have to bead both sides, and it is hard to get it to bead. This is where air compressors come into play, or they make special pumps that have tanks in it that kind of acts like a compressor, and they sell these little tanks as well that like act as compressors. I just use my floor pump and fill up this tank, and then I can use that almost like a compressor to help blow the tire onto the bead. Now, if this sounds like daunting and you're like, oh my God, I'm just going to bring it to a shop and do it, totally understandable if you don't want to get your hands dirty and try something like this. But I'm telling you, it's really not that hard. With just a couple of tools and a little bit of patience, I think you'll be able to do this yourself, no problem. So let's just get right into it. Now, step one, we got to wash the bike. Sure that there's no dirt on the tires because we're going to be taking that tire off the rim on one side, and we don't want any dirt getting in there, so definitely want to do a good job cleaning the bike. Alright guys, so these are like the basic tools that I'm going to use for this job here. Now of course I got my coffee here, which I need because it's early morning. If your rims don't have rim tape on it, you're going to need to get some rim tape. I like this stuff made by Muck Off. It works really well. Just take note of the width of the tape. You want it to be right around the same width as your rims that you're taping. However, the T6E, the rims are already pre-taped. In addition to that, you're going to need some sealant. I like this Muck Off stuff, no puncture, works great. You just got to put in, a certain amount of ounces depending on what size tire you're using. I'll get to that when we get to that step. I just bought a big jug of this because, every couple of months you have to add a little bit to it, and when you change tires, you need to do it again. Now I'm going to need to get the tires off, so I have these really high quality tire levers. These are the Gorilla ones, the Gorilla lever, and these won't break. I don't know if you've ever had these where they fail on you, but it's very frustrating. And then this one's nice. I actually got this for when I had a road bike, because the road bike tires are so tight, and you can actually protect your fingers with this one. So it won't you won't jam your knuckle on the rim. I really like this. If you have a stubborn tire, this one's really good because it helps protect your knuckles. But these orange ones are just very, very strong, so I just prefer like no flex and just the strength. It almost feels like you're using metal. So I really like these. This stuff will be linked below, guys, if you need it. Now another key item you're going to need are these tubeless valve stems. Now I got the TV45s from Entity, and they look like pretty high quality valve stems. What I did like about these is that it has the extra holes in the bottom coming out like horizontally as well. So if I were, ever to put like one of those foam things in my wheel, I wouldn't have a problem filling with air. While I was on Bikes Online getting the valve stems, I picked up a set of these pedals as well. I actually went with the composite pedals instead of metal pedals, which is different for me. So what I was thinking with the plastic pedals was when I clank onto rocks, I wouldn't be such a jarring impact. The plastic is a little more forgiving. So that was my mindset with these Entity pedals, and they're very affordable. And I thought the red would look cool as well on the T6E to match the awesome red ergon grips I got. So not really related to the tubeless, but I'm going to throw these on as well. So you might be wondering what you do when you get a flat with a tubeless tire. Now, just because it's tubeless doesn't mean it can't get a flat. You can still get a flat. So what I have is these things, and you can basically just jam these into the tire to help seal it, kind of like on a car. And I have this little cylinder here that's like a little quick tool kit for this purpose. So it has like, you know, like the tube there. You basically load up one of those things I just showed you, and then you can push it in there, and then you can like blow up the tire. So to blow up the tire, you can use the CO2 stuff. It'll save you some time, but to be honest with you, I find this stuff just kind of a pain in the ass to use, and it never really seems to work for me 100%, but it is nice if you're in a rush. It can definitely blow your tire up a lot quicker. So this pretty much just screws onto here, like so. And then once you go far enough, it'll open it up so you have pressure, and then you can use this little tank here. So I actually just have a small pump that I carry with me in addition to this tank because, like I said, they're just not 100% reliable, just from my experience anyways. All right, guys, that about covers the tools involved and the process, you know, that we're going to go through here. So next step is to get these wheels off, and let's get moving here. All right, so I just got to remove the valve stems from the tubes so the air comes out really quick. And this little tool came with the Entity valve stems, these new ones. And just again to show you how these have the holes on the end. You see that hole there? Right there, you can see through it. This is the tool I'm going to use. And there's also a tool built into the cap here. But that's how you get the valve stem itself out. So this part right here, it's like there's a secondary screw. There's a thread here, and then this is another thread that actually threads into this thread. So that's what we're going to take out. Like so. So I'm just using the hole. You can see how it has the two flat sides on this tool. And that's because this threaded valve stem here has two flat spots on it as well. And then when you get it all the way, it just all the air comes out in one shot like that. So just to show you, this is what the internal piece looks like. You can actually see how it works. So that lets the air in when you have it unscrewed. Now if I tighten it, this whole mechanism like won't work. You see, now everything's tight. So that's how the Presta valve works. Really cool. Anyways, I'm just going to unscrew the lock nut here. Like so. And now what I got to do is I basically got to get the tire off the rim. So what we need to do is break the bead. And you can see right here on the edge where the rim meets the tire, that is where the bead is locked. And if you push hard, you could usually peel it off. You can see right here, I'm starting to peel it off. And just work your way around the rim. There we go. Starting to get loose. Some dirt's coming out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these awesome Gorilla tools. And I'm going to go like, 6 inches away from where the valve stem is approximately. Something like that. And just scoot that up and over. And then it's got the hook there. You can lock right on the spoke. That's what that little hook is for. Now I can grab the other one. And I can go like 6 inches away, somewhere like over here. Like that. And there you go. So you can see it's starting to come off, but it's still very tight. So just go down a little more. pull that off, and now it should start to loosen enough. Yeah, this is kind of just fell off from being loose. So now we can just go around the rim like this. I'm going to go all the way over to the valve stem, as you can see here. So now I can actually just push up on the valve stem if I want, and just take this tube out. So here's the tube, throw that to the side. Don't need that garbage anymore. And now we can actually look at the rim. So you can see here, it's already pre-taped. So this is the part which makes this so much easier that we don't have to bother with the taping process. If I was going to tape the rim, I would take the tire completely off. So basically all I got to do is put the valve stem in there and then add some slime and put it back on the rim. So let's get the valve stem in. And notice the little rubber washer here. You want to make sure that you have that in the right spot as well. That goes under this cap, under the washer. Okay, so I got the rubber cap and everything. So there's the hole. I'm just going to feed this into the hole. Like so. I'm going to push down on it a little bit to try to get it in there because it's got this like rubber, it's got like a rubber gasket there at the bottom. So I'm just kind of like pushing firmly down, try to seat it a little bit. And now I'm going to put this little rubber O-ring on. Just slide that all the way to the rim. And then just got to put this lock nut on here. So you're definitely going to want this tight. So I tried just pushing down with my thumb like as hard as I can pretty much, and then also at the same time tightening this nut so you get that nice compression, like you want it to squeeze the rim. So now what we got to do is get this tire back on. So what we can do is start like this, and I'm just pushing with both my thumbs, and you can see how it already kind of is setting into the rim. And now we can just work our way around the rim like so. So now we have the option of just directly pouring the slime right into the tire, which I think I'm going to do because it is easier that way. Or what we can do is we could take the valve stem out, which I might have to do, and just pump it through the valve stem. But I don't really want to get the slime in the valve stem so much if I can avoid it. So I think I'm just going to dump it in the tire and see if I can do it that way this time. Alright guys, you can see here on the side of the muck off we have a milliliter, bar here, which is quite convenient. So because I'm doing 29-inch tires and they're 2.6 inches wide, what we're going to want is about 161 milliliters. So we're looking at about 100 and a half, So you can see the slime is right here. So I'm going to put in right about to that line. So I'm just going to put my thumb where I want to stop. So I know, like this. And now I'm just going to pour this. And you want to make sure that you shake this really good before you start. Alright guys, I'm pretty confident I got enough in there. Like I said, approximately 161 milliliters. I'm just going to walk this around. Alright, so here's where it's starting to get hard. You can see it's getting tight. So just kind of got to work it. You can kind of try to pull the tire over, or you can use these levers, which is what I like to do. So you just got to wedge that in there like so. Keep your thumb on the other side so this part doesn't come off. Because if I just try to pry without holding this side, the bead will just come off. So now I might be able to just pop it off. There we go. So there we have it. So now we have the tire on, but it's not necessarily beaded. So I'm just going to wipe off some of this excess stuff here so it doesn't get all over my floor. Alright, we're looking pretty good there. So what we could do is just try pumping to see if that works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. If that doesn't work, I have like a little tank that I use that I fill up. And it will just like kind of blow the tire on with sheer force. So let me grab the bike pump and we'll try pumping this beast up. In case you guys are unaware, the Presta valve you do have to unscrew, so it's got this little screw on the top, and that'll allow you to put air in, just in case you don't know, if you've never done this before. And you can see on the bottom of my pump here how I have two holes. The small one is for the Presta valve. The large one is for the Schrader valve, which is what bikes used to use for the most part. Some of them still do. So, cross your fingers. Sometimes this just works, other times the air just leaks out because it won't bead. Just pump quickly, sometimes this works. Looks like it's working. There we go. I'm going to pump it all the way up to like 40. Make sure it's beaded on there. 100%. Here, it's still working its way on. Alright, that's about 40 psi. Let's take a look. So I'm just going to screw that tight. Got the little cap. Put the little cap on there. And I just want to make an inspection here. If you look, you can see there's actually a line here. And you can tell that it's beaded properly if this line is even all the way around. You know, so basically I got like 1/8 of an inch on this bottom line that you can kind of see. So I know I have it beaded. Now, we definitely need to spin this around, shake it up. What I normally like to do is just put it on the bike and spin it. All right, I think we're good on this wheel, guys. All right, so I'm just gonna try to break the bead off here, just like I did before. And I'll use the tool lever. Usually start just past the valve stem like this. Put that onto a spoke. Yeah, this one came off even easier. There we go. And I can push up on that, take this off, and there we have it. So I'm just checking the rim tape on this rim, and we're looking good here. So just got to put the valve stem in the hole. Just push down there and like give it a little bit of a twist. Put the O-ring on, and put the lock nut here. Like I said, I like to push down on with my thumb here as I tighten this to try to get it as tight as I can. I want to get that cinched in there good, like so. And then I will start to bead the tire again. Not all the way, but enough to put some of that slime in. Alright guys, we're up to the slime phase, so I need to go to about here. I need to go to about here. Alright, that should do it. Alright, I'm in the same position I was before, so now I need to hold my thumb here so this doesn't come undone. Because remember, if I try to pry this on, it's going to come off on this side. See how it wants to like pull it off? So I'm just keeping my thumb there and just going to pry this on. Let's pop it on at this point. There we go. Sweet. Alright, I'm going to do the same deal, see if I can pump it up. It looks like it's going to work. You can usually tell if the air is leaking out or not. There we go. Nice. Same deal. Going to go all the way to 40 psi here. Super easy to do these wheels and tires. Like I said though, I like to go all the way to 40 just to make sure it's 100% beaded. Alright. Spin this around. Alright, I'm going to put these tires back on so I could spin them up to, you know, get the slime spread around. So let me do that. the Allen key on the back side. Sometimes this can be really difficult to get off. Wow, actually came off a lot easier than I was expecting, so that's good. Gonna unscrew that. I'm psyched that those came off so easy. So I got this grease here, guys. I'm gonna put this grease on. It's this Polylube 1000 grease. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on the pedals so I can take them back off in the future without struggling too much. I just put a little bit on the threads like that and just rub it around. It'll just help it so it doesn't like freeze on there. There we go. Sweet. Pedals are on. Nice. Alright, so you can see now, got the pedals on there, got the tires back on. Whole process took about 1 hour. Not a big deal at all. Like I said, these tires were actually very easy to re-bead, or let's just say convert to tubeless. I'm so psyched. Now I can run at lower tire pressures. This bike's going to handle even better on the trail. Oh yeah. Alright guys, so here's that air tank that I was telling you about, and you just hook up the floor pump to the top right here, and you basically pressurize this canister, and then you take the valve stem out and you screw this into the valve stem on the tire, and basically you just release this valve real quick like this. You just turn it like that, and it unloads all the pressure. If you just turn this quick, boom, it basically acts like a compressor, and all the stored up air pressure inside this tank will suddenly explode basically into the tire, and that'll help get you tire beaded. Like I said, because these tires were already mounted on the rims, all the little wrinkles and folds and stuff were out of the tires. But if these were like fresh rubber and it was like it came folded, you know how the tires come folded, it would have been a lot harder to get that bead started. So like I said, using an air compressor, which I don't have, will do the trick. Or like I said, you could use something like this air shot tank, which basically simulates using a compressor. They also make these floor pumps that have one of these built in pretty much. They're just very expensive, so I went for this instead. A fun section. Alright guys, so I just got back from the ride and it was an absolute blast. I'll tell you, it might just be like in my mind, but I really feel like getting rid of those tubes and the tires like lowered the weight of the wheel a little bit. The tube does weigh like whatever it weighs, 1 pound or whatever. And that rotating mass, when you're going through the trails at speed, it definitely, I think, makes the bike turn a little bit slower. So without the tubes in there, I do feel like the bike is turning a little bit easier at speed just from less rotational mass. Like I said, guys, it just might be all in my head because it is not that big of a difference, but it is pretty significant. I mean, what are we talking about? Maybe half a pound per wheel, something like that, approximately. So it is what it is. Now, I really enjoyed having the tires at less pressure. So I was running them at 25 pounds as opposed to like 28 to 30 pounds is where I was with the tubes in there, because I do not want to get a pinch flat. There's nothing worse than being that guy out on a ride with your friends and you get a pinch flat because you didn't go tubeless. So that was one reason why I just had to switch to tubeless as soon as possible. And I also wanted to run at that lower pressure. The lower pressure gives you more surface area on the trail, more pad to trail contact, and the bike handles significantly better with just a few pounds less in the tires. It's very noticeable. So that was a big deal for me, and honestly, probably the biggest contributing factor to going to tubeless, other than, of course, getting a flat, which really sucks as well. So, tubeless. Now, I just wanted to talk about the pedals really quick. They're awesome. They feel really good. I have the 1-Up pedals, which are expensive pedals on my T8, and they have like a bearing in there. These Entity pedals that I got feel like almost the same. Like when actually riding the bike, I can't even notice a difference. They're like perfectly smooth. My feet are glued to the pedals. I got these new shoes and they're just glued to the pedals now. So that was a bigger upgrade than I was expecting, because the pedals that came with the T6E were pretty good, but the little spikes weren't as grippy, you know, like they didn't like stick into the shoe as much. So those new pedals with those littler spikes really bite into the pedal, and I felt so good. I had such a great ride that I just got to say, like, I just dialed in the bike like a little bit further, you know, how we dial the bikes in to get it just how we like. So pedals and tubeless were significant, and you guys can definitely do this as well, just yourself. It's not that hard. So I really hope that this video helps you out and gives you a little bit of confidence if you're thinking about trying this, because like I said, I know a bunch of friends and they don't really like doing this type of stuff themselves. They'd rather bring it to a shop. Totally cool, guys. Bring it to a shop. This way you know it's done right if you're, you know, don't have the time or whatever. But if you're somebody that's handy and you want to get into it and it's kind of like cold out and raining or whatever, this is a pretty fun project, and you know, it's prideful when you do the work yourself, so kind of makes you enjoy the bike more, I feel like. So just food for thought there. So all right, guys, I appreciate you checking out my video. If you found it interesting, give me a thumbs up. That'd be cool. It'd be even cooler though if you hit that subscribe button, because I will be coming out with more videos shortly on the Polygon T6E and possibly some new stuff with some other bikes. All right, guys, I'll catch up with you later. Take care.